Financial Fitness with Patrick Franz, of course, where I go live 6:30, 8 a.m., 6:30 to 8 a.m. here at my house, and we do a workout, but we also talk about financial intelligence. We learn about some things, and we discuss cash flow, wealth protection, investments, and we try to get our body physically fit, and we try to get our pocketbooks financially fit. It's what we do together here, ladies and gents. But what a glorious, glorious morning here in San Diego, California. It is a fantastic one, y'all. So be thankful starting your day off. Always be thankful. Pray for what you have and be thankful for another day here above ground, enjoying this glory that our good Lord created. But today I figured what we would do is get on into that dungeon gym of mine in the garage, and we would talk about some private lending while we do some sets. So I'm going to get in there and get going. So what you know is that there might be 3 reasons why people would join me in the mornings on my lives. Even perhaps on a holiday, right? Because it is President's Day. So a whole bunch of folks are on vacation, so to speak. Not working, at least. That's for sure. But we get our body moving even when it's a day like this. Maybe we don't have office work to do, but we do have body work to do, and we want to keep our goals fitness-wise. What we're going to do today is we're just going to bust out a workout while we discuss private lending. You know, let's discuss private lending today a little bit, and unsecured versus secured. We're going to talk about collateral, lending with collateral versus no collateral, and that kind of stuff, because the borrower always being slave to the lender. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but if you're just hopping on, good morning. We're going to do a workout. It's like a lift and learn Q&A. We're going to talk about private lending, and we're going to talk about secured versus unsecured, and why being in a private lender situation as an investor is a really, really good shoes to be in if done right. Okay, so that's what we're going to discuss today while we get going on some exercises. Okay, guys? But there's 3 reasons to join me. 1 is to work out with me. 2 is to learn something, because we talk about investing and financial intelligence and things like that on here while we lift. But the other one, too, is just to ask questions about things that you may be curious about, whether it be physical or financial. A lot of people are trying to get in shape physically and shape financially and have questions about how to better themselves. So that's what I come here for, y'all. So if you're here, say good morning. What's up? That's funny. Am I sniffing too much? So Dexter's on here. He said, good morning. Go blow your nose. So I might be sniffing, huh? All right. Well, anyways, guys, good morning. Happy President's Day, by the way. Are you guys off of work today? Are you taking a chill pill today and spending time with the family or doing something fun? Or are you actually working? And Dexter said I got to blow my nose. I don't know what's wrong with my nose, but I will. I got a little sniffy this morning. It's because it's cold out. Well, not really cold, but it's going to be a little cold out, a little chilly, coming up the next couple days in San Diego, and it's going to be nice and rainy. It's going to be nice and rainy and cold in San Diego. But are you working? You let me know what you do on your President's Day. Are you working? Are you taking off? Are you doing a chill pill today, vacation? Who is just wrapped up in the nice warm blankies still, maybe on the West Coast? I know East Coast is already awake and doing stuff. Dexter's working every day. You're home for now? Okay, cool. So Dexter's working, but you're home for now. We'll swing by, Dexter. Say what's up, man. I know you're driving all over usually, and I haven't seen you in a while, but yeah, probably. I'm going to work on that. Somebody said, Life of said, can I be a mod? And yeah, you can. I mean, I really don't have a need for a mod quite yet. But I probably will need a mod someday. But right now, all good. All good. For most part, I get a lot of people on here that are nice and participatory. You get the random bad one every now and again, but it's all good. People are wild when they come on here and say things that are just goofy. But I do know how to do it. I think I was looking at that, but I think I have to just like click on your name or something like that. But I'll have to. I'm gonna research that. I'll take a look at it, life of, so that if need be, I can throw somebody in as a mod for me at some point. Yeah, yeah. No, it'll be good. It'll be good. I'll get a mod at some point, but right now I don't really need one, so no big deal. Um, okay, cool. Yeah, but this morning, guys, there's a few people on here, and you know, what we're going to do today is we're just going to do some shoulders, we're going to do some chest, we're going to do some triceps, we're going to lift while we learn, we're going to discuss private lending because something sparked yesterday that wanted me to talk to you guys about private lending as an investment category because I was talking with a really intelligent individual at the country club, as a matter of fact. And I was talking to the guy at the country club, and he said, I was talking to him about investing. We got onto it at like lunch or whatever. And I said, what are you guys doing anymore these days? Because they're older. So what are you guys doing anymore these days? Are you guys kind of retired? Or are you guys plan doing any investments anymore? And the guy said, oh, yeah, no, not really. Not really. I'm not doing much anymore. And I said, oh, no problem. And I said, why not? And he says, well, I'm still waiting on some investments to pay off. And I go, oh, what kind of investments were those? And he said, I did some private loans, which is private lending. He said he did some private loans for a couple of people, and he's waiting to get paid back from them. And I said, oh, really? Okay, cool. What'd you lend the money on? What was the private loan? He said, oh, I lent the money to a couple buddies. I spent the money to a couple of buddies, and I just immediately, my reaction just was in jest. I went, oh, uh-oh. I went, uh-oh, like that. And he said, well, what do you mean, uh-oh? I said, well, I lending money to buddies. You know where that can lead. And he said, oh, yeah. But I only lend money to people where I judge their character. And that's fair to say, because that's the only thing you've got to go by if you lend money with no collateral, which is unsecured loan, right? It's not secured with anything. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, because that just struck me yesterday when really intelligent man, he's older, wiser, he's been there, done that, he did some private loans that he's obviously not getting paid back on. He's waiting to get paid back on. And yeah, Dexter knows friendship ends where money begins. So true. So true. So anyway, but he said, I judge people by their character, and if they have the good character and I trust they're going to pay me back, then I'll do a deal like that. And fair enough. I'm not trying to dog it. I'm just saying today we can talk about that, right? That could be our subject, but we're going to do some shoulders. We're going to do some chest, and we're going to do some benches and stuff like that as we talk about this, because it's about getting our bodies moving and trying to get better physically and better financially. But this private lending thing was killing me ever since yesterday. I said, that's what I'll talk about today. All right, guys. So let me know, have you ever done any private lending? Throw it right there in the chat. Throw it down in the chat, guys. Have you ever done any private lending? Have you ever lent a buddy some money? Have you ever done private lending in a more, I guess, more on steroids? Have you done any big lending deals or real estate lending or anything like that? Have you ever lent people money? That's my question. And have you ever lent people money where you didn't get paid back? Another question, right? But let me know in the chat. Too many times, Dexter said, the well is dry now, right? Ain't that the truth, my man? Ain't that the truth? Yup. It's crazy. I did it again against my own will. I lent a buddy money who had good character, and I lent a buddy money not too long ago. Haven't been paid back yet. So isn't that wild? Where'd my coffee go? I'm gonna get my coffee here. All right, guys. So we're gonna get to lifting and not just talking. But there you go, right? We have people on here. You've lent people money before, and you ain't gotten it back. Even people that you lent the money to, that, of course, the reason why you lent them the money was because you thought in the beginning when you lent them the money that they had good character, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have lent them the money. So we're going to talk about that. Let me stop this little guy. All right, so we're going to talk about that. Dexter's wells run dry. That's one of the things that, probably the only thing that you can do really at the end of the day. Yeah, exactly. Dexter's built a haunted house now. Many ghosts are living in it. So Dexter's given a lot of money to a lot of people, friends and family, ain't gotten it back, and it's created issues in his life. That's where he said friendship and family ends where this money lending begins, where money begins. So, but let's talk about it, right? While we get warmed up, let's talk about that. Oh, I can't work out with this watch on. You know that. Mess up that watch. But built a haunted house. Let me tell you something. That's wild. It's funny to say, though. Warm-up set's always the hardest one. Warm-up set feels really good sometimes just because your muscles and your joints and your tendons are just getting activated in the mornings. So in hopping back on, guys, talking about private lending, my buddy Dexter was on, said, I've lent money to too many people and haven't gotten it back, right? So that's what sparked the conversation yesterday. Somebody telling me about how they lent money to a bunch of people because they think they have good character, which is cool, but how many times have we been screwed by those people that have supposed good character? But there's no recourse. That's the thing. So let's talk about the difference between secured and unsecured loans and talk about what it means to be on the banker side of that. Why it might be a good idea in private lending to do some sort of documented collateral rather than giving buddies unsecured loans based on their character. So that was kind of be the subject we have to talk about today. But if you've lent money to somebody or you've done a deal before, like where, you let someone borrow the money and they never paid you back, you didn't have any recourse besides sending like goons, you know what I mean? Like in the movies, you send goons over with baseball bats, hey, pay up. That ain't going to work because you're going to go to jail, right? And all that stuff. So, it's like letting someone borrow the money, not having any recourse, not having any collateral is bad news, obviously. Is bad news, obviously. Judging character is one thing, but if they don't pay you back, what do? Just go then and say, well, now they have bad character in my mind, but you're out the money. It's terrible. Kind of becomes an obligation when friends ask for it, and it looks odd to refuse. Yeah, that can be. That can be the truth, is what Science Economics 101. I like that's a cool name. Science Economics 101. Kind of becomes an obligation when friends ask for it, and it looks odd to refuse it. So there's a guilt pattern in there, right? That's science is talking about right now. There's this guilt pattern, right? Where it's like people that you really do truly care about, people really do truly need the help financially. They know you got a little bit of dough, so you have the ability to help them. You obviously care about them. They care about you. It's good people. You do think they have good character. All that is there, right? So then if somebody's like, hey, man, I'm really, can I borrow some money? I'm really down and out, man. I need some money. Can I borrow some? And we feel bad if we say no, right? We feel bad on our character. That is true. Science was just saying. Dexter said, I will do it again with the right structure. So Dexter's saying, I'll lend money again, but it'll only be with the right structure. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about that right structure, and we're going to talk about lending, but lending in a collateralized position. There's a difference between unsecured debt, which is loaning money to a buddy because they got great character and they promise and swear they'll pay you back. That's unsecured lending. And then there's secured lending, where we're talking about having some sort of collateral that we have the right to take back, or that we are already in the possession of, so that you don't have to worry about someone's character at the end of the day. Okay? Phoenix, we're talking about private lending with collateral. I do like a lift and learn. We kind of work out and talk about finance in the mornings. And so we're talking about private lending. We're talking about people who have loaned money out there to friends and family that had good character seemingly, but those friends and family didn't pay them back. And now it's just like ruined friendship and all that. So we're talking about lending money. Phoenix, have you ever lent money to somebody and they didn't pay you back? I mean, small or big. It's kind of a lame feeling, and it can ruin relationships over a couple bucks, which really sucks. Okay. But let's talk about private lending in a fashion that can really be good for one's investment portfolio. Not just talk about, loaning a couple bucks to friends and family. Yes, $200. Yes. So it's pretty wild. Like, I'm sure if we spoke with 100 people, 100 regular people, I'm sure half of them have a story about lent money to somebody, didn't get paid back. I mean, come on, because we're all nice people. And just as just was said earlier in my comments from science, it makes you feel bad. If you do have some money and you're doing fine, and somebody who you care about is not doing well financially and they ask you to borrow money, saying no like feels bad, right? So you kind of get pressured into it. Oh, Phoenix is only 12 years old. $200. Yeah. $200 is a lot of money, man. When I was 12, if I could have got my hands on $200, boy. When I was 12, my dad probably wouldn't let me walk around with that much money. But yeah, at any amount, it feels bad because it does in turn start to destroy the relationship between the lender who let the buddy borrow the money and the borrower. And also too, then the borrower, the person that owes you the money, is always now coming up with all these excuses. I mean, it's really degrading, guys. So let's talk about private lending in a sense that maybe would be a lesson that would be a fantastic lesson that I wish I would have learned when I was 12 years old. But most adults need to learn this lesson as well, that private lending, being a private lender, can be one of the strongest investment positions to be in versus all sorts of different investment opportunities out there. From certainly the stock market, cryptocurrency markets, all the markets that fluctuate and are volatile. No, I didn't know that. But let's talk about why being a private lender is one of the best investment positions to be in if it's done right. If you're a private lender and you're lending money based on character's there too, but I mean based on the person who's borrowing the money's character. But how about based on if they have good or bad character is up to them, but doesn't destroy you as the lender, because you have something that's called collateral that you can take back, or you have collateral that you're already in possession of. These are power blocks. It's adjustable dumbbells, but they're rectangular, if that's what you're talking about. So let's talk about that a little bit. So in private lending, guys, do you understand that you can go get a loan and it can be unsecured? And that's like if we go apply for like a credit card. Okay. So like if you go get like a credit card at the bank, you can go buy a bunch of stuff with it and not pay it, right? They can't take stuff back. They don't have collateral. They don't know what you really bought with the money. And so let's just say you get a credit card, which is unsecured credit, means they don't have anything they can take back from you. Then you can go and spend a bunch of money, buy stuff. And then what is the repercussion? What is the issue, guys, for us if we do that? What's the issue? What if we go, yeah, I just started doing this, Phoenix. There's only 6 or 7 people watching me, which is really good. I haven't built a YouTube channel yet. I haven't built any sort of popularity yet. I've only been doing this for like 2 weeks, and I've just been working out. So yeah, science, that's what it ruins. There you have it. Said credit score. Good job. Now, some people don't even give a crap about credit score. Okay, but the bottom line is this. it does ruin your credit score. So then you go try to borrow money again somewhere else, and they say no. Yeah, exactly. So anyways, guys, it's like, you can go get a credit. Now, what happens, it ruins your credit. So then when you go to do other things in life in the future, new lenders look at your history and say, what about this person's character? Do I want to lend them some money? Let me look at their character. Well, if you don't know people and they're a stranger, then this FICO score and payment history from a borrower's standpoint is what people look at. Does this person have a history of paying monies back that they've borrowed or not? That's a judge of your character, even if you're a stranger. So it's like what they call the underwriting process. Well, underwriting has to be pretty stringent, and you have to have a fair judge of someone's character if you're going to loan them money in an unsecured manner. Because again, they skip town, they just decide not to pay you back, whatever. You probably, as a private lender, aren't going to ruin their credit score. You're probably not going to report it to the credit agency. So you loan money to a buddy. So it's not going to ruin their credit score. And then now you're just in a constant battle trying to get your money back and their character's ruined. That doesn't make much sense from a lender's standpoint. You're not in a very powerful position. Now, let's talk about what happens different with like an auto loan or a home loan, okay? When the bank lends money on an auto loan or a home loan, they use the car or the house as their collateral. Is that right? So we know, let's go this route. Let's go this route. Let's go this route, guys. What happens if you don't pay your car payment? What happens if you don't pay your house payment? The bank doesn't give a crap about your character much anymore. They know since you didn't pay, you obviously don't have great character. They take it away. That's what happens, right, guys? If we don't pay our car payment, the bank will come and get it with a tow truck, right? I don't know if you guys seen that repossession show on TV that's hilarious. But they pull up in a tow truck and they grab the car and take it away because it's the bank's car. It's the bank's car now. What about your house? What happens if we don't pay our mortgage? So we get it, guys. You lose your house, the bank takes the house. So there's that big difference between, unsecured lending, where you're loaning someone money based on their character and a handshake, or like banks are good at, loaning with collateral. Phoenix, the dumbbells can range in price. I don't know. There's different weights of them and stuff like that, but go look. They're called power blocks. Look it up. But yeah, so let's just think about that. If we're going to loan money in a private lender situation, you want to make a good return on some of your money, but you want to make sure it's not just only one individual's character that is securing your return of your capital, but maybe it is that you have collateral. Collateral that is either assigned to you legally with documentation, and it should be collateral that you can actually find a way to take back and get your hands on. That would be smart. Or collateral that you've already taken possession of. Okay? You already have the collateral, and so you don't even have to go get it. Okay? So that would be secured lending. And we can talk about all different types of secured lending, where, of course, we're going to lead into lending on mortgage notes, which is called hypothecation. Hypothecation, I like to call it rhino lending, where a lender helps a note investor spearhead a deal. Woo! I didn't plan on getting many viewers today on President's Day. People are sleeping in. People got off work President's Day. It's a holiday. People are sleeping in, but I'm still getting it. I wanted to be consistent this year. So holiday or not, we're going to get it in. Holiday or not, we are going to get it in. But Of course, we know what happens with a secured loan. Like a bank, if you don't pay your car payment, they have the legal right to come snatch your car up. If you don't pay your house payment, they have the legal right to snatch your house up. Okay? And so let's think about that in terms of being a private lender is sometimes a better choice with our money. Being a private lender is a really powerful position to be in if done right, like Dexter said earlier in the chat, if done right. What happens if somebody has, you tell me if you would do this deal. Tell me if you would do this deal, and we're going to break it down with like a simple one. Tell me if you would do this deal. Your buddy has a $20,000 Rolex watch. It verifiably is worth $20,000, verifiably. So he has a $20,000 Rolex watch, and he wants to borrow $10,000. He needs to borrow 10 grand because he's going to go get himself into some deal or do whatever he's going to do. Wants to borrow 10 grand. Now, would you loan someone $10,000 if they gave you a $20,000 Rolex watch as your collateral? Would you do that deal? Put a yes or a no down in the chat. Would you loan someone $10,000 if they gave you a $20,000 Rolex watch as collateral? Would you do that deal? Private loan. Would you loan someone $10,000 if they gave you a $20,000 Rolex as collateral? Yay or nay? Let me know in the chat. With the right paperwork and possession of the watch, yes. No, I'm not giving it to them. So Dexter says, this is interesting, right? So let's break it down. Dexter says, with the right paperwork and with the possession of the watch, then yes, Dexter would loan him the money. Phoenix says, nope, I'm not giving it to him. So why not? Why not, Phoenix? Why would you not do the deal? Dexter, I think, maybe has it dialed here. Dexter says, well, with the right paperwork and with the right, it could be a scam. Okay, fair enough. That's good, and we'll talk about it. So with the right paperwork and with the possession of the watch, Dexter would do it. Phoenix said, I'm not going to do it because this could be a scam. So very true. Now let's talk about the actions in which we would take as the private lender if we wanted to do this deal, because obviously the numbers of this private lending deal look pretty solid, especially if you're forming what type of return on your $10,000 that you would want to receive. So you're obviously going to be saying, okay, well, look, I would loan you the $10,000 on these terms. Here's what I want to make. And so let's go about the steps. So Dexter's already getting into the steps here, right, guys? And it should be simple, but most people don't do these kinds of steps. Number one is you're going to evaluate by verifiable source. You're going to evaluate how much is the collateral actually worth by verifiable source. Because remember, Phoenix is saying this could be a scam. Somebody that's wanting to use a Rolex watch as collateral and borrow money from somebody else. This could be a scam. Okay, it could be, or it could be a really good deal, Phoenix. How do we verify this? Whether it's a scam or a good deal? Well, we would need to get a watch expert, right? We would need to get our hands on the watch. We would need to get a watch expert that knows all about Rolex watches and their values. We'd have to put the two together and try to find out if we can get a professional opinion on whether or not the Rolex watch is actually worth $20,000 verifiably or not. So that's number one. Verify collateral. First of all, demand that, no, Dexter's actually a good friend of mine, Phoenix. Dexter's a good friend of mine from here in San Diego. I know him well. Definitely not a fifth grader. Now, based on that television show that I used to love watching, us oldies half the time aren't any smarter than a fifth grader. Anywho, but if you remember that show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? I used to love watching that show. But so first of all, let's talk about private lending. Good morning, Andy. Yeah, I know you usually have a Zoom call this morning. Don't worry, man. We're just talking private lending, and I'm just getting warmed up with some shoulders here. We're talking about private lending with collateral versus private lending with no collateral. But we're talking about a scenario where somebody has a $20,000 Rolex watch and they want to borrow $10,000. I'm saying, would you take that deal? Would you take a $20,000 Rolex watch as your collateral to loan someone 10 grand? Is the question. Dexter said, yeah, with the right paperwork and with possession of the watch, I would do that. And our man Phoenix in here said, I don't know, dude. That's sketchy. I don't know if I would do that because it could be a scam. So this is all good. Both are correct. Both are correct. Dexter's right to say, well, shoot, dude, the deal sounds good. I'm lending out $10,000 with a $20,000 Rolex as my collateral. But I would have to have the right paperwork in place. And I would also have to have possession of that Rolex watch before I would release the funds. So that's where we're at right now. So Andy, would you do that? Would you do the deal, Andy? Would you loan someone $10,000 if they were utilizing a $20,000 Rolex watch as your collateral? Easy storage on that collateral, Dexter says. I could carry that watch in my pocket with me. Easy storage of collateral. Come here, buddy. My cameraman's so off today. So we did some warm-up sets, guys, and just got the shoulders a little bit warmed up this morning. Get the body going. It's feeling good. Talking about private lending with collateral. Andy just hopped on. He says, would you do the deal? Would you loan someone $10,000 with a $20,000 Rolex? So anyways, let's move past it because Dexter's correct. The number one thing first, if you're presented with a private lending opportunity like this is, if you've got something as your collateral, then we have to get a professional. We have to have somebody give a real validated opinion of how much that collateral is actually worth, because of course, somebody could be saying, hey, I want to use this $20,000 Rolex watch of mine as collateral. I'm looking for a loan. I want to borrow 10 grand. And they could be fudging and saying that that watch is actually worth 20 grand when it's not. So yes, let's verify the value of the collateral, number one. Okay. Now, Lynn, let's just say, for my boy on here, I believe it was Phoenix on here who said it might be a scam, but let's go with that we are able to verify the value of the watch. The watch is now verifiably by a Rolex watch professional deemed to be worth that amount of money, deemed to be worth $20,000. Okay. So we verified the value of the collateral, which is step number one. Now we know that this thing is now worth the proper amount of money. Okay, so now we know verifiably it's a good deal. We know verifiably it's a good deal, don't we? So then we would say, okay, if the watch is actually verifiably by a professional worth $20,000 and we're loaning $10,000 against it, then we would say, with that kind of a private lending deal, we would say that those numbers look good. So the numbers on this deal look good. A $20,000 watch acting as collateral for a $10,000 loan. But Dexter said, I would do the deal if we had it papered up right. We'd have to put it in, some documentation in place for this private loan. And this is the truth, we would. So, self-confidence, what's up? Tell me, Dexter, what would, if we verified the value and we know the Rolex watch is worth $20,000, we're going to do a private loan to somebody using their watch as collateral. We're going to lend them $10,000. Okay. We're going to lend them 10 G's. We're using a $20,000 watch as our collateral. It's a good deal. It looks good. The numbers are right in this deal. Great deal. But how do we paper it up? Thank you, self-confidence. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning. Y'all are beautiful people. Love y'all. So Dexter, tell me this. What do we paper up? What is the documentation that we need to put in place to protect ourselves as the lender? Because remember, we've had too many stories already and too many people agreeing here in the chat today that we've lent money to people. Paper towel with a crayon. Tell you what, that actually holds up in court, believe it or not. I didn't know that. But it can hold up in court. Something written on a paper or a napkin can hold up in court, believe it or not. But I wouldn't go that route. No, not on a napkin or a towel. But what you do, guys, is called a promissory note. You know that I talk about notes and I talk about promissory notes. So we write up a promissory note. So I'm going to let someone borrow $10,000 from me, but what are the terms? What interest do I want to charge them for using my $10,000? And is there any writing that proves that the Rolex watch is being issued to me as my collateral? You know, that kind of stuff, guys. So we verified the value of the watch. We know it's worth 20 grand. So we need to write up a promissory note between us and the person that we're lending the money to. So the promissory note gets written up and it says, you know, I, Patrick Franz, am loaning you, Dexter Holiday, $10,000 United States currency, okay? $10,000, and I'm loaning you this $10,000 with these terms, okay? And you decide terms are, of course, how long is this money going to be borrowed and what's going to be the payback rules and interest rate and all that stuff. So I'm saying to my friend Dexter here in the chat, I'm saying, Dexter, how long do you need to borrow the money? He's saying, oh, I only need to borrow the money for a year, man. I'll pay you back in a year. Okay. Well, then those are the terms we're going to write down in this promissory note. Okay. It's a 12-month loan. Now, Dexter, I like to make at least 10% or more on my money. You're a friend. So I want to earn 10% on my money. So let's talk about payments. Are you going to pay me along the way? Are you going to pay me monthly? Are you going to pay me quarterly? Or is this a no payment thing where I'm just going to get my lump sum of capital plus my return at the end? How do we want to pay this back? So we're putting in there the terms, how long the money is going to be borrowed, what the interest rate is that I'm going to make on the money, the monthly payment, what day, if there's a monthly payment, what day of the month the monthly payments due. Do I tack things on if there's late fees like banks do? Do I say, well, if you're more than 30 days late on paying me the cash flow payment, then there's also going to be a late fee on there. So, you know, what are the terms of this private loan? So the terms of this private loan and what they say, memorializing it, putting it in writing and getting a notary, you know, to notarize it and that means now it is memorialized. That is a document that'll stand up in court. And it has the terms of how the money is supposed to be paid back and such like that. And then also, can you have in there the repercussions of which will happen if the terms are not met? And if your monies is not paid back as agreed in that promissory note. So as the private lender, you'd want to have it in there that all the terms written out of what happens if somebody does not pay you back is in there, right? And what in this case, as Dexter said, what in this case is our collateral? What in this case is our collateral? It's the Rolex watch. And Dexter said he would have to have possession of the Rolex watch in order to do this private loan. Makes sense, Dex. So Dexter's saying he has to have possession of the watch. Why is that? Because even if, even if the watch, excuse me, guys. Let me adjust my tripod real quick. Even if the watch is in writing, written down as your collateral and all that good stuff, a watch is fairly mobile, is it not? Can someone not take a small watch and hide it somewhere, bury it, do all sorts of things with that watch so that someone cannot come get it, right? That's one of the problems with this kind of collateral. So Dexter said he would have to have the watch in his possession. Well, in this case, with using a Rolex watch as collateral, I would absolutely say the same damn thing. Not only have we papered up the deal properly and we've memorialized it, we've had the document, the promissory note, notarized, which legalizes it, and everybody signed it and everything like that. So now we have a promissory note on the $10,000 that I'm lending out. We're using the Rolex watch as collateral, but I must demand that I have the Rolex watch as the lender of the money. I want the Rolex watch, my collateral, I want to keep in my possession, in my safe, in the meantime, until I get paid back. And then when I get paid back from you properly, as we agreed, I'll return back your Rolex watch. So there, that would be fair. So now that you know about the documentation, the memorializing of the terms, understanding that you have the watch in your possession, then I don't know if Phoenix is still on, but what would Phoenix think at that point? Now, if it was all in writing and you had the Rolex watch, it was verifiably worth $20,000, you had the collateral in your possession, then would you loan somebody 10 grand with these new terms here? Would that be a good deal? Yes or no? Would it be a good deal? I think we all know that the answer, of course, in this situation is what? Yes, we know. Because you've lent out there $10,000, guys. You've lent out $10,000. You have a $20,000 watch as your collateral. The documentation of the loan has been memorialized and documented. So you know that it's in writing. The terms of how you're supposed to be paid back your $10,000 are now written down. They're memorialized and in a contract. It's been notarized. You both have copies of the paperwork. You've taken possession of the actual physical watch and any documentation that comes with it. You have it in your safe at home. And now, who is in a really good position and who is now in a really bad position? Who has the control here? Do you, as the borrower or as the lender, have all the control here now? Or does the borrower of your $10,000 have control? Who really is in the power seat now? You tell me. You as the lender or them as the borrower of that $10,000? Who's now in the power position? You tell me. He may disappear into my haunted house, Dexter. Dexter, you're gonna have another haunted borrower in the haunted house of ghosts, people that have borrowed a bunch of money from Dexter, and none of them paid him back. None of them did. But it's a really good position now, right? It's a really good position now. So that is collateralized lending, okay? Now, banks obviously take this to a much higher level. In general, banks definitely don't lend money usually unless it's collateralized. And if so, like credit cards and unsecured stuff, they only give people a small certain amount to first judge their character of paying things back before they'll extend that amount, of course, all based on credit worthiness and all that good stuff. But think of like auto loans and home loans, that kind of stuff. Banks, they don't care. Banks are all about their money. Banks aren't about stories. Let me close this real quick, guys. And we're going to open this one. How's that? All right, we're going to shed some light on the subject here. It's kind of like a gray day. It's a gray day in San Diego. Charge the double digits on unsecured. Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? So that's why people, that's a whole nother point we can go down. Let's talk about that. Remind me of that here in a second as far as interest rate being charged based on risk and why we pay more interest based on the risk, why banks want to collect more interest or profit based on the risk, secured and unsecured and those kinds of things. Yeah, that's, a big deal of why interest rates go way up. 64 degrees there today. Andy's loving it. 64 is nice and warm for them out there. I think we're less than 64 out here today. I think we're probably in the high 50s right now, mid 50s maybe out there. It's a little gray if you can see behind me outside. Not so bright and sunny day in San Diego. But, okay, so we got it, guys. Now, with the auto loans and the home loans, then it's very similar, but we don't just necessarily take possession of the collateral as the lender in these scenarios, right? And say, I understand you want an auto loan, but I'm going to have to hold the car in my garage until you pay me off, and then you can have the car. That doesn't really work because people want to get an auto loan to go start driving the car around. People want to get a home loan to go start living in the house. And so the bank keeps the car or the house as their collateral, but they don't obviously keep possession of the collateral. So let's talk about that a little bit. A car is also something that's mobile. And so that's why I like to watch the show. What's up, the Rays? I like to watch that show, the repossession car show. I think it's hilarious, where the guys pull up in the truck in people's driveways and they come out and get all confrontational about, you ain't taking my car, man, and all that stuff. Super funny show. But no, the bottom line is you got to go and take a tow truck and you got to go and grab a car and bring it back from somewhere, right? And cars are mobile. Cars can be hidden in garages. Cars can be hidden in buildings. Cars can be driven away. You could be chasing your collateral down the highway and those kinds of things. And so that's why when we get into a home loan situation and having someone's house as collateral in a loan situation is a really powerful position because, number one, people normally don't like to get their house repossessed because everybody needs a place to live. Most people pay their mortgage payments more religiously than any other payment, even letting car payments go behind. But no, not their house payment because they don't want to get booted out of their own house. They need a roof over their head. And so the house can't run away. The house can't drive down the street. No one can hide the house. No one can give the house to somebody else to hold in the meantime and act like they don't have it. The house is there. And so that's a beautiful thing That's a beautiful thing about yeah, sorry, I just got your comment raised. But that's the beautiful thing about mortgage lending or lending with a home as collateral because people usually pay it. And it's collateral that can't leave. It can't run down the street. It can't be hidden in that. And so that's the difference of any guys, the premise of secured private lending versus unsecured private lending. So we've kind of covered the umbrella of it. But in knowing the lesson of today, which is why if you have money, okay, and you're thinking of taking some money and you're going to put money in the stock market, you're going to put money in the cryptocurrency market, you're going to put money into whatever it is of an investment of your choice, that sometimes, guys, being a private lender with your money is sometimes the best position, one of the best investments, and one of the best positions to be in. If, like Dexter was saying, and like we were covering, if it's papered up properly, you know, and if you actually have real collateral that you feel comfortable with, that you can take back, that's of value. So, Rays, that's just my old Mercedes Benz. Rays, it's a CLS. It's a CLS 550. It's that old sleek version before they started putting those bubbly wheel wells on it that I hate. So this one looks like it's all streamlined, looks like a bullet. So that's a Mercedes-Benz CLS 550. The big family car, my family beast is out here. You see, you can't even see it because it's so bright out, but that's the that's the big old Suburban because the wife, the kids, the grandparents, and the gear certainly don't fit in the Mercedes Benz. But yeah, so we have I got my Mercedes Benz for just running around town, and then we've got the Suburban, which is actually a funner car to drive. I like big cars. I like the Suburban, but one of the things about one's mind, right, the mindset thing, is that when that Mercedes Benz came out, and it was a new Benz, I wasn't in a good financial position at that time in my life, but I really loved that car and I wished I could have had one. You know what I mean? One of those things. And so come around full circle, even though that's an older Benz, by no means is that worth 100 grand or anything like that. But I got it because for years and years and years and years and years, I always wanted one. So when I had the ability to get one, I just got one. So anyway, no big deal. I'm not much of a car guy. Dexter and a couple people on here know that I have enough money to afford a really badass car and all that stuff, but I'm not that dude. Um, I hardly even drive this thing. I drive like I think my average I drive 2,500 miles per year in this car right here. I drive 2,500 miles per year in that car. So anyway, I'm not a big car guy like some people are. And I'm also not like a really big show off guy. If you guys haven't noticed, I don't wear fancy clothes on here. I don't really clean up my family garage. So I don't care what people think. Everybody always wants like a nice car. Usually, like think about this. Most people, 90% of people want a nice car to impress a bunch of people that are next to them at a stoplight, right? Like that's why they want the nice car. Most people have never even driven a Lamborghini and don't even know how horrible of a daily driver it is and how uncomfortable it is to get in and out of and how, the blind spots and how, most people haven't driven a car like that. They just wish they had one until you got one or you drove in one and you're like, you know what? Maybe I wouldn't want this thing. Like I said, I like driving around in my Suburban more than anything. It's a beast, right? You feel like you can get in a car crash and you'd feel sorry for everybody else. But good to see you, NJ. I didn't know if some of my regulars would be on here this morning. You know what? Because it's kind of a holiday, so people are taking off and relaxing a little bit, and so I didn't know if anybody was going to be on. But it's good to see you. Easier to look like a bum, haha. Less stress. What are you trying to say, Dexter? Are you trying to say I look like a bum this morning, bro? No, I'm kidding. Everybody knows me, man. It doesn't matter about money. I grew up as a surfer and a skater and an athlete. Trust me, I brush up and I wear my pinstripe suit and my tie and all that, when I go to speak on stage at an event or whatever. But that's not normally how I like to dress. I'm more of a surfer, skater, athlete. I like to dress in comfy stuff most of the time. We can all polish up and put a suit on, but hey, who cares? But anyways, about the car stuff, yeah. So, that's the thing about, you know, Again, bad debt, good debt. We can talk about that, guys, and we could spin it down the car route, even though I didn't want to go this route, and we won't. But I'm just saying, I could have a car over here where I have a $2,000 a month car payment, $3,000 a month car payment, just draining my budget, having $2,000 or $3,000 less per month for me to invest into things for my future, having $2,000 or $3,000 less per month for me to do some private lending deals with collateral and up my net worth and start getting cash flow coming in and set myself more and more and more financially free. That gets addicting. This financial freedom stuff, financial intelligence gets addicting once you get into it and once you know about it. You don't even want to buy shit. I don't even want to buy shit. Every time I see 9 boxes show up daily at my door from my wife spending on Amazon, I'm going, oh, it irks me. What could we have invested that money in instead of spend it, right? It just gets addicting. But, why do I need a fancy schmancy car and a huge car payment when I don't have any car payment on that thing? It doesn't cost me any money whatsoever, right? So anyway, I'll get off that damn soapbox. But the reason why we got into the mortgage lending scenario or buying these mortgage notes up, because it comes full circle, is because we are buying cash flow streams, but we have the people's houses as our collateral. So it's the same thing that the bank does. We just step into the bank's shoes and we get to buy this payment stream. So one of the things that's really cool about the mortgage lending space, of course, is that there's a contract put in place called a promissory note where someone has promised to pay a certain amount of money per month based on those terms like we were talking about earlier. So they've said, I'm going to borrow this much money. I'm going to pay you back every single month on the 3rd. I'm going to pay you this much interest. And then they sign the house over as collateral to the bank in case they don't pay. So look at the situation we're in here, guys, versus many other investments. The stock market, we know, is volatile. People can't sleep at night and have trouble timing the markets. People either crush it and seem like a hero for a minute or get wiped out. People's IRAs and 401ks are subject to whoever's the president or whatever the policies are at the time, whether stocks are going up and people are making good money or not. So it's just a wild situation, most investments that people are familiar with. And then the cryptocurrency market, half the people don't even understand crypto enough to invest in it, for sure. But most people don't even understand crypto. And it's certainly one of the most volatile markets out there right now. Can be easy to make some money, can be easy to lose all of it. So when we look at that, then private lending, most people can understand. But private lending, most people don't understand how to put it together. So in talking about the paperwork, putting together promissory notes, that's what the bank does. When you borrow money to buy a house, you sign a promissory note. You also sign a mortgage document pledging your house as collateral to the bank. So here's the bank's position. The bank is loaning money. Okay. The bank is judging your character, sure. But the bank also, in essence, doesn't really give a crap about your character, to be honest with you, because they have documented collateral that they can take back legally if you don't pay. And generally, like in a mortgage note situation, you can't hide your house. You can't pick your house up and run down the street with it if the bank's coming after it. Your house is there. The bank will come get it. They'll just kick you out. And they'll take back that house as their collateral. So anyways, guys, let's just think about that in ways of investing, that sometimes as an investor, to be a private lender is really the most powerful position to be in. If it's documented and papered up right, and if you have the right collateral, either that you're already in possession of, or it's collateral that can't be hidden, or that you have to chase down the street in a tow truck, like a car, something like that. Okay. So private lending, and by the way, have you ever heard this term, "Ye who has the gold makes the rules"? Have you ever heard that term? Ye who has the gold makes the rules. What do you think? Is that usually the truth? Ye who has the gold makes the rules is a very good old ancient statement, because it is true. They say that the borrower is always subservient to the lender. And that's the truth. Dexter says, yeah, that's accurate. Okay, so private lending with collateral can be a very good position to be in. Private lending with no collateral can ruin friendships and family. Yes, Dexter says leverage. That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. So anyways, guys, I didn't want to get on a huge one today. It is President's Day, but I wanted to give a little bit of a lesson about private lending, secured versus unsecured. And, we don't want lending money to friends and family to ruin relationships. Okay. You always want it to be on the borrower. Never has to be the guilt on the lender, of course. Uh, you know, generally when people need to borrow money, they're desperate in some way, shape, or form. And the people who are lending obviously have the money and are not desperate. So who should be making the rules here? And who should be subservient to the other? So, anyways, guys, that's the lesson for today. But private lending can put you in a very powerful position. Private lending is contractual. It's not volatile. So the amount that someone who you've lent money to, the amount that they're supposed to pay you each month, and the terms you've written in the promissory note, those terms don't change. So those terms don't change, guys. It's a contract. When you've written it up in a promissory note, it's a contract. And so it doesn't matter if the stock market crashes, the real estate market crashes, or whatever. You've written up how much money they're going to pay you each month based on your private loan, period. So it's a contract. So you've got contractual rates of return, okay, which is cool. It's not volatile or up and down. You don't lose sleep at night like the markets. Contractual rate of return. You've got it written up. You've got it notarized. So now you have a private loan that's been what they call memorialized or legalized for sure. It'll stand up in court all day long if you have written promissory note with the terms spelled out properly. And also it's been notarized with both people's signatures, borrower and lender. It's huge. Okay. Now the collateral, if you're going to lend money on, like we talked about earlier, like a Rolex watch, Dexter said it right. You'd be smart to get the damn Rolex watch and you keep possession of the Rolex watch as yours until they pay you back as agreed. Then you can give them the Rolex watch back. But the reason why I got into the mortgage note investment space is because I'm becoming the lender on a property and the real estate is collateral. And so I don't have to take possession of it. I don't have to hold on to it. I don't have to store a watch even or be worried about that. I don't have to worry about it, any darn thing at all. In fact, I sure as darn hope that they pay because I hate to take someone's house, but they have signed their house over to the bank as collateral based on the loan they took. That's the position they put themselves in. And the bank is smart. Bank is smart. Bank is not going to lend out a bunch of money like that just based on someone's character and a handshake. Oh, no. The bank will lend you money, but the bank will want that house or that vehicle as their collateral in case you don't pay because the bank is not in the business of losing money. Facts. So, if you don't want to be in the business of losing money, of course, we're not going to loan money to friends and family just because. We're going to ask for collateral for sure. We're not going to feel sorry when we do have to take the collateral back because they signed up for it and they borrowed the money. So based on their own character, they'll judge their own character at that point. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? They could have horrible character, and we could talk about that all day long. And man, you just don't pay back your loans. It's terrible. They can have horrible character all they want. They can ruin their character. It's fine. But at least it doesn't ruin your pocketbook as their lender in that case. We can find out they have bad character, but also find out that you now own the car, the house, the watch, or whatever it may be. So you're fine as the investor, and they still have bad character. So anywho, you got to understand that the borrower's always a slave to the lender. So think about it on both ends, guys. When we're borrowing money for bad debt and we're leveraging to borrow money for expendables, not assets, then we're getting ourselves in bad debt. So when we get that loan, right, we're now slave to that lender for sure. And you're trading future time and energy as far as income is concerned that you haven't even worked for yet. You're trading future time and energy and future work already. You're trading it away, your future, based on getting yourself in bad debt. We're always going to be the slave to the lender. For sure. It's biblical. But now I'm talking about getting on the other side of the fence, which most people aren't on, which is to be the lender, be the private lender. And to be a good private lender and to really have it work out as an investment and to be fair to everybody is as a private lender, you're going to get the loan documented. You're going to write up the terms of the loan, which is called a promissory note. And you're going to get that notarized and signed by both parties. Now you've memorialized the terms and how that money is going to be paid back and the agreement, the contract. Okay. And the cash flow. So that's one thing. The other is to verify the value of the collateral to make sure that the value stands up and that you would be okay having that thing as your collateral. In my case, a mortgage note. So you're having the value of that collateral evaluated. It's documented up properly. You have the ability to take back your collateral legally and easily, not have to chase it down the street or go dig it up somewhere. Then you're in good shape. So sometimes it's really good to be on the lender side of the fence, guys. Step into the bank's shoes and utilize private lending as a good investment vehicle. That was just the lesson for today. I know it's President's Day, so I didn't want to do a long one this morning. I'm going to continue working out, guys, as I normally do when I shut this off. But I did some shoulders. We're doing some chest. I'm going to finish up with some chest dumbbells. We're going to do some dips, and we're going to do some tricep press downs. And we're going to get our week started right. Even though it's a holiday and most people are chilling, drinking alcohol, overeating, and doing bad things today. Not me. It's about to get started in the morning the right way. And we're going to have a good day today, guys. Have a wonderful rest of the week. And you know, I'm going to be here tomorrow, 6:30 to 7:30 or 6:30 to 8 a.m., depending. Tomorrow, we're going to do some lift and learn. We're going to talk about a different subject, do some Q&A on investing in that. And hopefully, guys, you'll get your week started wonderfully today. You'll see me here tomorrow, and we'll get it cracking. I also, guys, want to remind you, of course, down in the description of this video, yeah, I know, Dexter, I got to get ready for the cruise, man. One of those things I got to get better at right now is my diet, man, so I can get that six-pack showing before we go on the Cabo cruise. But speaking of which, I was just about to say that, Dex, is down in the description of my video. If you guys ever need any of my resources, Note Investor University is down there where we teach about buying notes. Happy Patrick's Day. So, guys, we teach about buying notes at Note Investor University. That's down there. If you're a passive investor, we have Everly Mae Capital Group. We're doing some apartment development in Florida. And down there, like Dexter's saying, there's a link to the cruise, the Cash Flow Conference at Sea. It's April 10th through the 15th. Badass investment conference on a cruise ship to Cabo. Bunch of cool investors and operators and fund managers and stuff be on that boat. So really fun stuff for investors to come join us and go to Cabo April 10th through the 15th. That's down there. My calendar link is down there for people that just want to chap it up with me, have a question that I'm not able to answer here in these lives. But anyways, Physical and Financial Fitness with Patrick. We talked about private lending today. We're going to get back to this workout, guys, because I got to get to cracking. As Dexter said, April 10th through the 15th, we got to cruise to Cabo, and we got to try to look our best out there, fun in the sun, okay? So, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you guys here tomorrow, hopefully, at 6:30 a.m. sharp Pacific time. We'll get another workout in. We'll get another Q&A session going, and we're going to bring a new subject to the plate tomorrow to keep our mind getting more and more fit. And let's keep our physical bodies up. Let's keep our pocketbooks up. And let's get it, guys. I'll check you tomorrow if my thing will let me in, which it never does. No. All right, guys. Have a good day. Have a good... Hey, NJ, pow. Pow, pow, Andy, Dexter, NJ, all you guys. Love y'all. Have a good day. We'll see you. Hey, Phoenix, we'll see you, buddy. I'm going to end it. I'm going to get my workout on, guys. I get to talking too much on these things, but we talked about some good private lending strategies today, how private lending can be a really good option for an investor. Don't loan money just to your homies because they said they're cool and they'll pay you back. You know, sometimes they don't, and it ruins friendships. Document it. Get some things collateralized. Take the collateral in possession of it, or get something papered up and get collateral that's easy to take back. Because I tell you what, character's one thing, but somebody could have bad character still without you having to lose